Hey guys, thanks for checking out another episode of Inside the Mind, a podcast about athletes. Today we have two guests, the first being Nic Boonstra making another appearance on the podcast, and the second is Matt Del Conte, who has stepped on stage twice so far as part of the Canadian Physique Alliance. I won't spoil it, so roll the intro.
How'd you guys start?
I just recorded it.
Let's go.
Let's
go. Let's
This is
start
like
talking. Yeah.
natural progression.
Yeah. What'd you guys talk about?
He was just saying how he did 2 shows a year, and
So I was telling him this time last year was when I started my first prep for King Kong.
Oh, your first show.
So I actually did 2 shows within a year span.
Your first show was awesome. Your prep was great.
I was really happy with it. I think what I was talking to Nick about is I think the first time around, and we kind of came to this conclusion. Well, I definitely came to this conclusion. He noticed it too, but you could tell I was more into it the first time. I was more passionate. I was more less pressure on myself.
You're having more fun.
Having more fun with it.
You the first time he prepped, it was like he couldn't wait to get up at 4 a.m. and go to the gym.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
He was so fresh.
It was it was awesome. And then the second time turned into more of a grind.
Yeah, and it was more so I had an expectation for myself before we started, before I started, I should say, and that kind of set a bad example for myself because it wasn't about the passion anymore. It wasn't excitement anymore. It was I expect myself to be like this, and then I almost kind of slacked in certain areas because
for your second one.
Yeah, for my second one because I thought I already have this in the bag, and essentially, right, subconsciously I was thinking that, so I wasn't giving it the same attention I did the first time around.
It's almost like sports teams when you play say New England plays Miami or something. It's they got it in the bag or something. A trap game for betting, right?
It's
a trap.
You think it's a guarantee.
Yeah.
And you kind of coast through.
Same concept.
You have the same practice as you run the same drills at practice as he did the same. He still woke up and did his morning cardio the same.
Right.
But instead of it just going through the motions and getting it done, we got Miami this week. They're all in.
No offense, I know because
that's my team. We're the Dolphins. But they take practice easier. You don't run your routes as hard, and all of a sudden Miami's got nothing to lose, and we ball out. We're gonna catch someone this year.
Yeah.
We're gonna catch someone this year. It's not over, Miami.
I would assume then it probably hit harder to not finish whatever top 3 or whatever.
Absolutely. Honestly, I was really, really upset with myself after the second show because so at the showing at prejudging, they call out your whole class, which each class is probably around 10 to 15 guys. In my class there was 12 guys, and they at the first showing, the top 5 guys they pull out in front of the stage after you've gone through all the individual showings. So the first 5 guys that got called out, when I knew I wasn't in that first top 5, I was just so I honestly was standing up there. I almost didn't want to pose anymore.
Yeah.
I wanted to just walk off. I felt so disappointed in myself. But that right there was honestly that's why I didn't place top 5, because I didn't come here just to have fun. I didn't I had some huge expectations on myself rather than just loving the shit out of it like I did the first time. I could not stop smiling the day of my first competition.
You didn't really care, I guess, at that point.
No, it was just I'm gonna bust my ass. I'm gonna have so much fun to do so well. You could even tell too. My peers could tell too.
We went to go see. I went to go both shows, and the first show, he had a smile ear to ear. He was almost bouncing in his posing because he was just so bubbly and so happy, and he was proud of himself. You could tell on stage he was very proud of the hard work that he did, and he loved it, and now he got to show it off, and he was on stage, and he placed well in that one. He didn't think he was going to place anything, or there was no expectation to play. He just did it all out, and then got the result that he got.
It is what it is.
Whereas the second time, I think, actually, me and you were playing tennis.
We were, yeah.
We were playing tennis, and you called me and said, I didn't get the top 5 pre-showing. Don't even, don't bother coming.
I said, don't even come.
Don't even come, man. I was like, you know what? Are you kidding me? I was like, dude. You busted your ass for this. You be proud of yourself. Get up on stage. I'm coming to see you. We're gonna go out and celebrate after. But you know what? This is a prep. This is a learning moment. Yeah. You got to come back harder the next time. Yeah. But you got your show right now. Be proud of the work you put in. Know what you did wrong and deal with that after. But it's game day. Don't pout out on game day.
Yeah.
It's something to remember. Just like other sports.
I think it was a good lesson.
It's 100%. I am actually really happy it happened.
Yeah.
Because it's just like any other sport. You need to do it for the simple soul passion of it.
Yeah.
Like you can't get down on it. Like there's always tomorrow. There's always another day where you can work harder and harder and harder. Like you have today to take like the lessons that didn't work in your favor and literally just pull yourself back to passion and pull yourself back to the reason why you do what you're doing. And like it'll always turn out better in your favor. You know?
Even that reminds me of something one of the veteran running backs said to me when I was at McMaster, and he was a sixth-year guy. He's been sixth-year guy. He had 3 ACL operations. Chris Pizzetta, amazing football player, great football mind. And we were, going through practice and kind of in the long stretch of the season, 3-4 hour practices, roll late nights, meetings after, workouts in the morning, school starts piling up on you, and practice wasn't having that same intensity. And he kind of grabbed the running backs and said, football doesn't last forever. You might think, you're too tired to be at practice, or you might think that, you don't want to be here, but why else are you doing all this stuff?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're doing it because you love it. You get to go after school's done. He's like, you get to go play football. And that little speech, and that was his last year, and
motivates you.
I was like, you know what? I'm giving it everything I got this practice. I love football. Like I'm gonna play. Stop whining about being tired about here. I get
a privilege.
I get to put the pads on, put the helmet on, and go lace up and play football. It's hard, practice hard, but you do it because you love the game. You love the sport.
There's a lot. There's a lot of worse things you could be doing like day to day than playing football.
So don't make it your work. You know what I mean? They say if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Exactly.
Right.
And if that's your bodybuilding's your passion. During your prep, you can't be thinking, oh, this is a grind.
And I'll be honest with you, like subconsciously, that's how I felt during my second prep. I felt like I know some days like I didn't give it my all, and like I know a lot of my. So you have certain days in prep where you can do carb ups.
Yeah.
And even on days where I wasn't doing my carb ups, I wasn't like. I remember the first prep, I was so anal on sugars. Like I didn't have sugars on anything. Like I didn't even add honey to my. I barely ate a lot of fruits. And like I was just so anal on my sugars, even on my carb days. Yeah, I wouldn't add sugars. I would just do straight up clean
natural
carbs.
Sugar is still cool, like fruit, like
in
fruit
like so. The only time I add in my natural sugars on prep is like post workout. That's the first thing I'll eat post workout to restore glycogen and all that. Other than that, like I had this like mental thing where I thought if I was eating sugars like past around my workout, it would store as fat. So I just never really. That's the only time I ever had sugars.
Yeah.
But second prep around, it wasn't necessarily the same mindset.
Right.
And even on some high carb days or cheat days, so to say, that my coach would give me, I think I definitely went over and above. And I had some times where like I would make calls of my own, and I think that ended up screwing me in the end because like. I think the reason why I was like that was simply because, like what I said before, I had myself higher than I thought I was.
And do you notice that's cool? The thing I'm thinking about is it kind of made you not uncoachable, but harder to coach.
Yeah.
The first time you kind of went in there with a blind.
Yeah.
You're just gonna follow with.
Well, because I was even saying like
blind
he would ask me,
obedience.
like, how you looking, how you feeling, and I would say, oh, like I look shredded, I look great, I feel great, but at the same time. I know for a fact, like, say, 3-4 weeks out, I was more shredded the first time than I was this time around.
Yeah,
3-4
and
weeks
so
out.
you said you were making calls on your own.
Yeah.
Right? So that's your blind obedience to your coach and your expert who you're paying, who you've hired to be your coach, to tell you what to do. Yeah. You're making yourself harder to coach. And I see that, sometimes with guys, other sports like football, they got so much talent that they know better. Right. Because of their talent, they don't need to listen to their coach because the guy who's telling them to do certain things on a route never played the same level, or he thinks in his mind that he's better a player than the coach, and you're taking away the aspect of then you don't need coaches, right? The talent
what's the point?
Talent would just rule all, and whoever's just more talented would. So you can get there through hard work and coaching and proper technique and repetition over and over. So it made you harder to coach. Actually, think that mindset.
When you kind of like go out on your own. Eat too much sugars or whatever, go overload. Do you have to report that to your coach and like tell them, or is it just kind of like?
I mean, well, first of all, obviously you shouldn't be doing this. Second of all, but I think like if the moment, I think even the first time, I think it would set some sort of guilt in if you were to tell your coach that you wouldn't do it again. But for me, I wasn't telling my coach. And I think that's where I would keep doing it and keep doing it. I remember one time I had a soccer game late night. It was at like, our game was at like 9 o'clock or something like that. And after the game, I'd lost like 4 pounds, which honestly, at the end of the day, it's normal. It's water weight. You're doing cardio. My first prep, I didn't take out hockey. I played hockey every week, and I've never measured my weight after hockey. So, like, I think me measuring my weight this time after soccer really screwed with me a little bit. I think I could have left it in. Because I stopped playing soccer for like 4 weeks because I thought it was fun.
You thought you were getting like too low. Yeah.
So that one day, the first day I noticed that 4 pound drop, I went home, or I texted my coach saying like, "Can I add some food in?" I lost like 4 pounds. He's like, "Yeah, I think he said a certain amount of carbs and fats that I could have, but I went over by like a huge amount because in my head I'm like 4 pounds, 4 pounds. I I triple if not quadruple. Like I had like." Maybe like 7 or 8 pieces of toast with honey and I had loaded salt on there, and I think I had like Nutella and like I just thought like, okay, I look great, thinking like, oh, I can do this. No, man, like you gotta listen to your coach. You gotta listen to like the trueness to what's going on. You can't try and with things that you think, okay, this might work. No, like there's a certain game plan set in, and you gotta listen to your coach. Just like how you were saying like football, like same kind of thing. Like you know, you have the talent. You're able, like, you're there. Everything is there. But there's be coachable. There's a set plan. There's reasons why you can't do certain things. There's reasons why. He told me, like, let's say, for example, like, he told me 30 grams of carbs and 10 grams of fat. Only eat that. Me going above and beyond that is just being, like, ignorant to the regimen.
What was your motivation for getting a coach the second time and not just getting a coach straight from the first time you competed?
I did a coach the first. I used the same coach.
The same coach. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, I looked so good my first show. I was so happy. Like looking back at pictures now, I know how Nick took some pictures of me like with his camera and stuff.
Yeah.
I was just so. Yeah, like he could even vouch for me. I was just so dry, so shredded. Like I followed everything to a T though. And I didn't f*** around, and I was, if not, over the top.
Going back to the way
over the top.
Like, you know, when you called me and you said, "I'm just thinking about this now. Don't even bother showing up."
Yeah, that alone tells you like.
I think that was a feeling of like, I didn't give it all I had.
100%.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you were kind of seeing like now that it's on the game day and you're down and you didn't get where like. For football, right? You're losing by 40, and it's the end. You know,
I guess
6 minutes left in the fourth quarter. You know you lost, right? But you're still on the field.
Let me compare it
right?
This way.
You still have to play,
Let's
so you're like, oh, don't come watch.
Let's say like a wide receiver. A wide receiver's job is to catch the ball. Am I right? Let's say I'm not a huge football guy, but let's say so catch the ball, and when he's not catching the ball, is to block, right?
Yeah.
Let's say okay, this wide receiver is so good, he thinks okay, I'll just catch the ball, but I don't have to block. That like I don't need to block.
Yeah.
So he's like doing his job, but he's slacking in one area that maybe he thinks I can slack in. But that's part of his job.
Part of his job.
That's exactly how I compare it to. I could compare it to my second show.
Yeah, it's that's why the first time you felt like you did everything in your power.
Yeah, everything.
That you know mentally you knew you gave it all you had. 100%. So this is the best you could have done.
Yeah.
Whereas you were disappointed because you knew that this wasn't the best.
The second time around,
and that affects your psyche too, right? And 100%. I think going forward now, you're the type of person I know you to use that as a lesson and a motivation, and not do that. Your next show, you're not going to make that same mistake.
100%.
You know, if you're making the same mistakes over and over, I mean, at that point it's your own fault.
No, 100%.
The last one you can say wasn't your fault. You have to learn through experience. But yeah, it's on you now to grow from it and learn.
Yeah. I think physique competitions, bodybuilding, whatever, it's not even so much the end product that is like the goal of everything. It's the journey through that develops you as a person.
That's why you do it, right? Builds character. It's
You got
it's
at the end of that.
It's not easy to weight cut, eat a crappy diet or whatever.
No, at the end of that mark, you cannot be questionable. You can't be like you can't question anything. Think I missed anything. Like I remember I was backstage the second show, and I actually I honestly changed my posing up a little bit because I saw someone pose a certain way, and I was like, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should do that. Being unsure means you didn't.
I was coming like self-doubt or insecurity or something.
Yeah, what's that saying? Bad preparation, good preparation prevents poor performance.
Right.
Good preparation prevents poor performance.
Right.
So I had poor preparation, which caused poor performance.
Were you coming in that day already kind of thinking that you screwed up? And then that kind of
subconsciously I knew I was nowhere where I was last time.
Yeah.
I wasn't where I should have been.
Or
I
did
thought
it hit you on stage?
and like it hit me more when I hit backstage. Like I had this thing in my mind where like it's
when you
okay.
saw the competition?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That whole prep, I basically had the thing in mind where like, okay, I want to hold back a little bit on conditioning because I want to come a little bigger. So I was kind of making excuses for myself not to get fully dialed in, and I surely found out that day when I went backstage that was a terrible mistake because
it's almost like when you play football or something, you're trying out for a team, and you're thinking you're like, oh, this, that, and the other, and
all these guys
are 6 guys, you know, they're just towering over you. Something like that.
Or even guys that you don't think are going to come through and look incredible, but they just shine.
For football, I played the first time I tried out for a rep football team. I had no idea what to expect. I've never played football outside of high school, and I had expectations of I might get cut, so I got to give it everything that I absolutely have because like I might get cut, I might not make it. And, you know, I did phenomenal in that tryout, and I won the starting job on that team, and it just, I think it was because I didn't go in thinking that, you know,
you were gonna
I was going to, it was part of, like, I gave everything I had.
That's exactly ties into what I was saying before.
It was, I was only trying out because I wanted to play more football, and that was the only team that could play through the summer. Do you know what I mean? That was, if I didn't make this team, I wasn't playing football until the fall.
That's
the reason I wanted, and I was like, I might not make it, so I got to give it my all. And that was my first time with
Right.
and that didn't actually happen for me till, that was grade 12 summer. And then that sparked the training for football, and actually was, I didn't think I was going to play university football. That wasn't even a thought before rep football. I mean, that was that year, and in that 1 year, that kind of innocence almost to like not knowing and just giving it your all.
You're being naive, kind of.
Yeah, just you know what, all you can do is try your best. Is the reason that got me to where I was in football.
The way I see it is you kind of need to be in sports, and all sports, is you got to have that wolf climbing the mountain mentality. You know, like the wolf climbing the mountain is always hungrier than the wolf that's already at the top of the mountain.
That's cool. I've never heard that before. Yeah, I like that.
There you go. That's
you know
a T-shirt.
No, you know what? I can't take credit for
it's
that.
Not copyrighted.
That's from Pumping Iron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool quote.
Yeah. But Arnold does come back and say, well, the wolf at the top of the mountain, if he wants to eat, the food is there.
Man.
That's dope.
But it's true, though.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What's I've never prepped. I've trained for sports and everything, but prep's a little bit different when you're prepping for a show. Do you find it lonely? How did you deal with because a lot of the times you're alone, you don't have the same schedule as all your friends, and you can't be doing necessarily the same social aspect. How did you deal with the
biggest thing is, I mean, most of the time, people know, like, everyone hangs out at night, right? I was in bed by 9 o'clock every single night. That's the thing. Like, it's a very super regimented thing, so plus...
Because sleep is a part of what you're going to present on stage, right?
Absolutely. And like even that was the first thing my coach told me too, was like out of the top of the three of training, nutrition and sleeping, he said sleep is number one.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild.
Think about it.
Even
I think about like physiques. It's all about like diet and pumping iron.
It's the power of the
recovery.
brain. It's the brain, right? The brain needs to have all the power. You know,
and the brain needs to be recovered.
To tell your body to do these things, to enable your body to do these things. If your brain is overworked, overtired, and not going, your body's gonna fall behind. You gotta be completely mind and body.
There's no way you could do a prep with like sleeping like 3 hours every night. There's just no way.
Feel that,
So going back to what he asked, like the loneliness thing. I mean, because I also work 40 hours a week, right? So that with work until like 4 o'clock, 4:30, go home, eat a quick pre-workout meal, go to the gym, be done the gym by like 6 o'clock. Leaves me 3 hours till I gotta go to bed.
But in that time, you gotta make your meals.
So then I gotta go home, make my meals, prep my meals for the next day.
Send updates to your coach.
Eat more meals, send updates to my coach, talk to my coach. So practice posing like every day.
So there's no time. That's what I mean. It doesn't seem like when you're prepping, or anybody else that I know that has done these contests and shows, it doesn't seem like they have much time for a social life, right?
The only time you can hang out with someone is probably like on a day where I'm off of work.
A weekend or something?
Yeah, well, like I work weekends too, right? So like literally, and that's what makes it tough too, actually, because I work weekends, and most people are hanging out on weekends because most people work or have school the Monday to Friday.
So you get 2 days off during the week sometimes? Or
and like no one's really off during the week, so I mean, I sometimes got super lonely, but I mean, like, there is the difference there. The first prep, it was the same thing. Like, they were both lonely, but I did not have that like sad loneliness or like feeling.
You were
like
passionate about what you were doing.
I loved being lonely. Like it was.
You were doing what you were meant to be doing.
Yeah.
You were doing what makes you happy.
You know, I said 3 months, put my head down, have the fun time of my life, and just kill it, and like
commit to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
and maybe like the second time around being not as like
when you're dealing with the loneliness, then you're thinking about something you're missing, right? And when you're thinking about something else that you're missing while you're
not
doing,
really in it.
Yeah, while you're doing something that you're supposed to be passionate about.
Yeah.
You're not really passionate about it. You don't really love it, because if you loved it, you wouldn't be thinking about something else.
Yeah, you have to like almost love the fact that you're putting aside everything on hold in your life.
To do what you want to do, what's
Exactly.
going to make you happy, right?
Yeah.
You're not doing it for
And
anybody.
that's the same thing like other sports. It seems like other sports. You hear all these guys that made it to the NFL, they're not average Joes. They took their time and did so much. Who's that one guy? He just went to a tryout or something. You were telling me
the
on the
receiver
Browns?
on the Browns. Yeah,
I forget his name.
I forget his name too.
he did
Look it
whatever
up.
it takes.
But that's a cool. Yeah, you should fire that up. That's a cool story. That's
He ended up getting OBJ cleats too, right? After the one
Did he?
preseason game, I think he scored a touchdown, and then
Yeah,
OBJ
yeah.
gave him the cleats.
Oh, that's awesome.
Or before the game, or after the game, or
he
something.
and he just he didn't even have a door to knock on. He built the door.
And he just did
That-
whatever it took.
that
You know,
guy-
I'm sure
yeah.
he closed off. I'm sure he was lonely as He did whatever it took for himself to get where he wanted to be.
Give himself the opportunity. Nobody gave him the opportunity.
No.
So he
I'm not even want to
he gave
pronounce. I'm
himself.
going to butcher his name if I try. But his name is Damon Sheehy Giuseppe. Hope I didn't butcher that name. If you're listening, dude. But yeah, he
shout out,
he just
though.
tried. He wasn't a stand-up player in any college team. Didn't really do well at the scouting combine. He was just playing at JUCO.
Yep, like a junior college.
Yeah. He basically had no cash. And then I think he even was like just staying outside the stadium.
Yeah, trying to
Just
run into
sleeping
a
outside
coach.
the
Yeah,
facility.
trying
Yeah.
to
That's
talk.
incredible.
Trying to
That's
talk to
incredible.
someone, and he.
Yeah.
Someone at his gym or something new.
Yeah.
It was
See,
a story
like-
where he just didn't stop until he
Yeah.
got away in the door.
That's
And when he
unreal.
got his opportunity, I mean, he scored a big touchdown.
Unreal.
The guys heard the story. They were getting behind, they were rallying behind him.
Yeah.
And
See,
is,
like,
he
that's
still on the
loneliness.
roster? Or?
Yeah. But he loved it.
I don't know if he's still on it.
You know what? Either way, you know what?
Yeah.
He
To
made
have that moment.
Yeah, to have that moment, to give yourself that opportunity to really go for your dream is in
He
itself
did
enough.
that all for himself,
so
by himself.
whether he's still on the roster or
He's a free agent.
he's a
but
free
still,
agent. Still,
preseason.
man, you're an NFL free agent. You were in the NFL preseason. That's a
Yeah.
lot
He
more than
balled
a
in
lot
that
of
one
people
game,
can say.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like,
a lot
It's
of
just
people.
a great representation for sports.
Think about how many
Just-
people can say that they played football, but how many people can say they scored a touchdown on an NFL field versus an NFL field?
It was
Whether-
86
yeah.
yards.
Whether
too.
whether it was preseason,
Like, that's
whether it was
incredible, too.
Yeah.
you had an NFL jersey on,
Yeah.
and you scored a huge touchdown, and you
Yeah.
proved yourself in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From sleeping on a bench.
Yes,
That's crazy.
sleeping outside.
You
like,
know, that's
loneliness, and he loved it to the
that's,
max.
That's cool.
That's like
he loved it, man.
one thing that the guy Gary Vee says. I don't know if you guys know who Gary
Yeah,
Vee is.
Gary Vee,
Yeah.
yeah.
The
Yeah.
business entrepreneur guy,
Oh yeah.
which I was actually going to talk to you guys about him for the other thing you got going on.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he'd be
Yeah.
really good for that. But he says one thing. He talks a lot about following your passion, doing what makes you happy
Yeah.
as for your life. And he's basically saying if you don't love what you're doing, someone out there is going to love it more than you.
Exactly.
And inevitably,
They're gonna try
work-
harder.
Yeah.
They're just working harder because they
Exactly.
love it more.
Yeah.
And that right
That's-
there is what I can go back to it so
And
many
it-
times. That right there is what I saw the day I went backstage at that second.
So at that
physique
point,
comp.
you weren't.
I
loving
looked
it.
at these guys and I'm like, they tried harder than me. It's not. And I hate people that make excuses.
Yeah.
I love hearing people because like I've been in the position where I just looked at people and I just admitted he did better than me.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's just like
It takes a lot of
he took.
It's an ego check.
You have to have an ego
Yeah.
check in sports, man. It's
And once
competition.
you hold yourself accountable, where you put yourself in a position where you realize, it's not your coach's fault.
Right.
It's
No.
not because this guy has.
And that's the first. That's one thing I hear a
it's-
lot of guys. They
the
blame their
coach
coaches.
doesn't like me. Oh, this coach is an idiot. This coach doesn't know what he's
Or
talking.
we tried this method and
Everyone
that
thinks they're
method.
the
and-
best, and I don't. Everyone thinks that they deserve to be
Yeah.
where they want to be,
Yeah.
and doesn't necessarily do the things that gonna get them to where they want to
Yeah.
be. And I had
they didn't
my
put
ankle was
themselves-
hurting.
Yeah.
I had a bad ankle or a bum shoulder. I got jammed up in practice. Did you stay with the athletic therapist? Did you do the rehab? Did you stretch? Did you stay those hours, or was there a long line? And it was like, it's gonna take me 2 hours to get my treatment. I'm gonna go home and get some whatever, do whatever you want. But did you and hang out with my friends per se and come back to practice tomorrow? Just tape up the ankle. Well, you should if you cared that much, you should have went to physio. You should have did your recovery. You should have went in the ice path. You should have waited for. Sorry, I'm a fidgeter. I am. But you should have put in everything, all of your power, all of your time into what was needed to get you to your goal.
Yeah.
You know,
exactly.
and it's not anybody else's fault.
No.
It's not your injury's fault. It's not your circumstances' fault. It's your fault.
Did you have any injuries when you were prepping, like
For
working
show?
out?
No, I didn't run into any problems like that. No.
So I gotta imagine if you're like in the middle of a prep and you get an injury, that's like
No,
we
but
know
you want to
yeah.
hear a cool insight. Would be like, it wasn't an injury, but it was one interesting thing. You'll find you're still learning, like even on prep, like you're learning the way certain foods react with your body. And this was actually crazy. This was on my first show. It was my last carb up of prep. I think it was maybe 4 or 5 days out. And I had a really high carb day, and the plan was to do, it was like, my first meal was with oatmeal. The second one, so every meal will have like a protein in it. We'll have like, I think I was doing at the time tilapia and chicken. So every single one of those meals will have that or egg whites. But as far as the carbs go, I would have 6 meals in a day, or 6 or 7. And my first meal was carbs were oatmeal. The second meal was skinned potatoes, like the little small ones, and like it was honestly like a bag I had to eat. So I sat there. It was like half a bag was for the second meal, and then I think my third meal was like rice, and then my fourth meal was the potatoes again. So when I was at work and I had that first meal of the potatoes, I ate that down, and like I'm like, okay, like that was kind of hard to eat, but whatever. So I go back down to work, and instantly I'm like, I need to find a garbage can. I puked it all up. Like it all came up. It would not sit in my stomach. It felt terrible, and just boom, came all up. I think it might have been the skin, like from the small potatoes, but I wasn't sure what it was. I was like, I gotta improvise. Like I just puked calories. Yeah. And I'm 5 days out. So like, mindset. You know what I mean? Like I'm sketching. So honestly,
this is obviously, I can tell by the story. This is your first show, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm puking calories.
Yeah. So I go.
I'm sick. It's calories.
So I'm like, I need to improvise somehow. So I go and I grab 2 bagels, and I smash back 2 bagels, and like at this point I was dialed in, so I could make some sort of adjustment like this. And because I was so diligent the entire prep, one little time like this wasn't really going to affect me. So I had 2 bagels. Then I went and got like a turkey bacon club sandwich, and then I had from Fortino's.
Oh, okay.
And then I had my third meal on lunch, which was like the rice and chicken or something like that. And it was fine. So then when I had the fourth meal, I had to do the potatoes again. I fucking puked it up again. So I'm like, 2 pukes in a day. So what I had to do was I grabbed 2 bagels again. I smashed 2 bagels again, and I let my coach know, and he's like, "Whoa, that's weird. Like I've never heard anyone react to it like that before." Yeah. So personally, I think it was like the skins that gave me some sort of reaction. I just could not hold it down. But that's like, I guess, comparable to an injury. Like, well, obviously not as heartbreaking, but it's something.
As a guy who's been hurt quite a bit, as we've a couple surgeries. I mean,
I'm not a plate of glass like this guy, but
plate of glass, okay.
That's interesting, actually, because
we know a guy who at our gym.
You have to make improvise.
He's prepping for a show. He's a men's open bodybuilder. He's a big dude.
Thanks, Dan.
4 weeks out,
Shout out to Dan.
He tore his bicep at work too. Not even
lifting.
Yeah, so that's what we were saying. Imagine how mad.
So that's almost gotta be like a fluke injury.
It was just he was grabbing something at work. I think he said his bicep just tore right off the bone.
That's not good.
And, but the mentality of bodybuilding is cool because we see this guy in the gym the next week almost. Like,
you know what's
and he just started doing legs and cardio with his arms black and blue underneath, and it's been it's been a few weeks now probably. I saw him. He had a sling hooked up with a lifting.
Yeah, we saw him. Remember?
With a lifting belt on a back machine, and he was just pulling with the back of his elbow, and so his arm was free. And it's just
it looks like it didn't even bother him essentially.
Right.
Like, it was just like, okay, I got to make an adjustment. No more show, no more this. Like
that's what it looks like to the outside though, but to him that's probably devastating.
Yeah,
that's
for
how
sure.
It shows the mental strength of bodybuilders sometimes.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? Like he's like, happened.
I
Now we got to move forward.
Necessarily bodybuilding. It's mental strength of someone who's
athletes,
athlete that's truly passionate and truly dedicated to what they're doing.
That's an elite level mindset, almost like a comparable to like an NFL player, an NHL player.
That is
for sure,
level,
right?
yeah,
100%. You gotta take it back to the
adversity builds strength. Diamonds are made under pressure. Like bad things happen. It's only a test to your character.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people put time restraints on themselves. I need to do this by this time or by this show, and when you realize
there's always going to be obstacles.
There's and that are going to push back time. And when you look at the big picture and you're passionate about the end goal, you'll get that elite level.
You need
mindset.
those obstacles.
You need to have the big picture, the end goal in mind at all times, right?
Yeah. It's interesting because talking about injuries, when I was training for my powerlifting meet, I just trained for a powerlifting meet maybe about 2013 or 2014.
Awesome.
Probably got close to like 1,200 total. But I was benching. I was just warming up in my bench. And then it was like about 225 warming up. And then I just heard just like Velcro in my chest. So I knew I like tore my chest, right? And like still like to this day, it's still in the back of my mind when I bench that
that feeling.
That feeling, yeah. And I'm sure that you've gone like when you tore your ACL or broke your collarbone or whatever list of injuries you had.
You can go on.
Does it stick in the back of your mind? Like,
it's for me. It's not that when I went back, you're worried it's gonna blow. The in the back of your mind, it kind of when you do get hurt again or you tweak something or you plant a foot in the ground, your knee feels a little bit funny. Whereas if you didn't have that injury, you just be like, oh, my knee felt weird, right?
Right.
When you've had that injury before, you start panic. Yeah. That panic level sets in that you're it's done. It's my knee again. So it's over. And then it works out that it wasn't that bad.
So it's the worry of like the same injury coming up again.
Yeah, it's just because it's deflating, right? It's such hard work to get back to the point, like for sprinting.
I think you should talk about that though. I think you should talk about when you tore your ACL, how hard you came back, and what you did after, like. You came back super hard after an ACL tear and fast, and like I think it's a great way to educate, because I think a lot of people, they get injured and they think like, okay, I just have to do nothing for a period of time and it'll feel better. He did whatever it took to repair.
Probably against like athletic therapy.
Yeah, every time I went into physio, which I was trying to get blessed in my situation in life that I had the insurance coverage through my parents to kind of use physio benefits, right? Yeah. So you go to as much physio as I need 3, 4, 5 times a week, which is a lot in itself. But I didn't stop there. At home I would do my physio exercises at home, and I would, instead of doing 3 sets of 10, I would do 3 sets of 100. I would just body weight. I would squat and I would lunge. I'd get off the bus and I would lunge around my block.
That's awesome.
Every single day for months, at a time, until I thought I was better than I was before the surgery. And it's
and that's like a mental thing too. Like you have so much positive energy towards fixing yourself.
But the injury for me was when something did go wrong, or I pushed it a little bit too hard on my knee one day, and I just undid 3 months of work, and you start panicking.
But how many months after your surgery did you hit 3 or 4 plates on squats? After all that rehabilitation you did,
maybe a year, a little bit after a year.
Oh, really?
For the big squat, but it was just that momentum carried over to where I was done recovering. You know what I mean? And then I just continued to build my squat. That was when I was lifting.
Well, even that's so incredible. Some people don't even bounce back from huge tears or injuries.
I was mean. They have guidelines for you to what you should be walking by this date, and you should be running by this date, and you should be doing they have set. And I was months ahead.
That's awesome.
Initially, I was walking early, and then I just did more and more, and then I could jog early, and I would try to sneak in a jog or sneak in a walk, and they would tell me to pull. They would pull me back and say, "You're actually causing more damage. You need to." But for my willingness to be able to work with I was, by the end of it, I was at 9 months, 8 months, where I should have been at if I was at a year.
Yeah.
And
you definitely
well, you see it so many times in pro sports, a guy gets injured and they come back so early, earlier than expected.
It's all about attention.
It's all about that, the positive energy, like you said, positive attitude, and focusing in really on just recovery.
Yeah. And I'm not saying that coming back from an injury is a smart thing. I mean, you have to listen to your body.
Yeah.
What happened to Kevin Durant is terrible. I feel like it was he got pressured back into coming in too early. He wasn't ready, and obviously, you know, he ruptured his Achilles, which is
if you want to hear
just a
some
blow to the
crazy
NBA.
stories,
But
there are some wild stories like Dorian Yates. I'm pretty sure he tore his bicep on a contest prep. If I'm not mistaken.
And continued.
And he finished the show.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
It's gotta be hard to like pose with a torn bicep because it can't have like the same shape, can it? I don't know.
Well, I mean, you have to work around it. I mean, it won't look identical, to what it was before.
And that's such a big thing about bodybuilding.
And that's the crazy part about it too.
Symmetry and physique too is big.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And but even in his case, or all bodybuilding, there's ways to outpose what you're lacking and like flaws. So essentially, like that's what he worked on after he tore his bicep. I mean, you can still train it. Like he did it obviously. Immense amount of rehabilitation and would still train it and work around his posing, how to like show off that it doesn't look like he has a defect in his one bicep, and he pulled through. If I'm not mistaken, I don't want to put wrong records on this, but I think he beat Sean Ray and actually won the Olympia after he tore his bicep.
Yeah,
if I'm not mistaken.
Not in that show, but after or
on that show, I'm pretty sure he won the Olympia with a torn bicep.
It's crazy. It's interesting how you said that you can pose to like hide your flaws.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think it'd be, if you're in that situation, would you rather like work on your strong parts to knowing you'll be able to hide your flaws, or would you rather like work on everything, work on your flaws kind of thing? You gotta work on your flaws for sure. If not, like you'd have to. It's different between like if you have flaws but they're not injuries. You should definitely work on your flaws more than your regulars. But if your flaw is an injury, you have to be smart about it. You can't work it so hard where you f it up even more. Yeah,
you know what I mean? So, but in terms of it not being an injury and you have certain flaws, like say you have smaller biceps, you have to work shit out of those biceps. Yeah. That whole prep like needs to be your number one focus. Yeah. You got small delts. You need your delts to stand out that show.
Back to the way you were thinking in prep. I know calories are big, right? So you're living your life in a caloric deficit, right? To cut weight and to lose all that body fat, you're eating a significantly less the caloric intake. What is that? How does that affect? Not how it's supposed to affect or how you get around it. Like, how do you think that actually affects like the function of your brain? Like, you know what I mean? Like, were you like, what were your feelings? Not so much of more like what was your attitude towards it, but what was the effects of the low calories? Like, were you more irritable or tired? Or
it's interesting.
I would say
like you are a little
almost your mood. Yeah,
you're a little bit more irritable, but I'd say you're more focused in a sense. Like you're more like a
starved focus.
Yeah, your vision is a little bit more linear, and like you don't really steer off. I mean. Things don't really bother you as much. You're actually but in a certain sense.
See, I would have thought the opposite. That's why I asked, because I would have thought the opposite. You know, I'm not eating a lot of food. I would think hangry.
It's hard to say.
I would think hungry but you said you were sleeping. Maybe that's how too. Because
maybe the wording is wrong. It's not that things don't bother you as much. It's that you don't really pay attention to other things.
You don't let it bother you. You don't let it enter your focus.
But
is that what you're saying? Like,
certain things are irritable. Like you will. Things that are going your way in something that you want in your life will irritate you more. But if it's something that's trying to come into you that you don't care about, you don't
like outside distraction can't break your
barrier. But if it's something within, then it will frustrate the shit out of you. Yeah, 100%. That's actually the funniest thing is like my mom will tell you this and like she'll laugh about it. I think it's hilarious to think back now. I think I was a psychopath. I remember the one time. This is actually even during my second prep. I think this also has something to do with too because I wasn't 100% focused. My cravings were ridiculous, insane. I was sitting outside with my parents eating grilled cheese. They were eating grilled cheese. I was sitting with like, I don't know. I think it was eating tuna in a bowl. It was like watered down tuna, like so garbage.
It's definitely not grilled cheese.
I'm watching them eat grilled cheese, and I was literally like complaining how they grilled it and like how they made it. I'm like, I wouldn't eat it like that. If you gave that to me, I wouldn't eat it.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's too toasted. Like it's too hard. Like I was knocking it down just because I couldn't have it.
Right.
You know, like I think like if I wasn't on a diet, I'd eat shit out of that grilled cheese. You know what I mean? But like I was just so. so craving hungered that like I was going you get a little nuts sometimes.
You do, yeah. I went through something similar when I was doing intermittent fasting, and I mean I knew my goal was 16 off, 8 on eating.
Right.
And for those that don't know, intermittent fasting is when you don't eat for a certain period of time. So 16 off means I wouldn't eat for 16 hours a day. I don't fit all my meals into 8-hour window. Yeah. So I started small. I'm like, I know I'm not going to be able to get to 16 hours of not eating right away. So I started like 12 hours, then 12 and a half, 13, week by week.
Right.
But even at the beginning, like not eating for 12 hours, because I was so used to like eating like 6 or 7 like small meals a day that it got to a point where it was like affecting my mood and everything. Like I couldn't focus at work, couldn't focus at the gym. I was just hungry all the time. And then I would like stuff my body with food during that 8-hour window and just feel like crap for the rest of the day. It just wasn't.
You didn't find it effective for you?
Effective?
Not like sustainable, more or less.
Sustainable? Like I don't think so. Right now,
I've heard good things about it, and I've heard.
I think it goes to show.
I think it's something hard to sustain for a long period of time. I think it's like something you could do in periods of like 2 weeks.
I think a little longer, I think it just goes to show how individual dieting can be for everybody.
Yeah.
Some things work for some people, some things don't.
100%. Dieting's different.
Well, I saw his coach, right? I seen shout out Mike Rasso.
Yeah, Mike Rasso, Team Rasso.
We've got 2 clients here.
Yeah, so even somebody else we know uses him as a coach too, and I saw the results from these guys, and I said, I'm not doing a show, but I wanna.
Yeah.
I wanna get lean down now to see. And from my other friend, from Matt here, and from me, the same coach, 3 drastically different diets.
Yeah.
3 body needs, 3 different metabolisms, 3 different goals.
Yeah.
And that's
cool thing to think about. Just a quick shot in the dark. It's like Adrian's one of his other clients, and he weighs more than me, but our coach had me on more carbs than him because he was more carb sensitive. Whereas for me, carbs work great for my body.
Yeah.
And how did he come? Like, did he test out different grams with you, or how did he come to that conclusion?
Yeah. So he would do days where he would test how it would work, and then you'd be shocked of how it would look the next day, or even 2 days after.
Honesty, trial and error. You sticking to a program for a while, seeing how your body reacts, making slight changes, and then seeing how your body reacts. Like when you narrow it down. He likes
the feedback though.
Yeah. When you narrow it down to. This is exactly what you're eating. Slight 20 grams of carbs, 40 grams of carbs is now a big difference. If you're eating that exact number every day, when you take away or add to it, it's easier to see what different people need more of and how much you can handle. So I call him the sorcerer.
Which actually, I hope he listens to this because I never actually got a chance to tell him the certain things that I f***ed up on my second.
So he can. And this will actually be a coaching.
Shout out Mike.
And but it's a science. I'm not a nutritionist or a nutritional scientist. That's his area of expertise. So they know more than me to speak on the topic. But I'm assuming that's the basis of how. But it is cool to see the individual body needs different.
100%. Yeah. It's all different.
Yeah.
What works for you might not work for me.
Well, for sure. Before we end off, I'm going to put my cousin on the spot here. Obviously, you like to work out so much, and you're doing the weight cut right now. So what's stopping you from taking that next step and actually doing a competition? Is it just
that's a great question for your cousin.
See, I
I'm sure people wanted you to do it.
I could do a show.
You got one right here. I've been asking him forever.
Yeah, I could do it. I'm almost treating my diet and training right now like I am on a prep. I am very meticulous and
almost like a trial run.
Not even that it's a trial. I'm just my direction in life. I'm not sure that I couldn't give 100% to my show because I don't really feel like I want to be a physique athlete or a bodybuilder. If I wanted to go pro, I think, and pursue this for multiple years, or it's some people, they do the show, they're proud of themselves, they say they've done it and they did it. That's not me. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to put my all into it. I train and I diet simply because I like it.
Right.
It's for me. It makes me feel good. I like the way it makes me look, but I like the way it makes me feel. It gives me power through my day. The dieting, I feel like I am a machine when I'm eating properly, when I'm fueled up and recovering my body after these workouts. I feel good. So I do it pretty much for the feeling now. I could do a show. We'll see where the future takes me. But for now, it's just about my own happiness, my own. I'm just doing it because I love it, and right now, and it could do show.
I think the more I force him to pose, he'll get better at it.
Once you get that, like, there's a couple of mirrors at 5-star. There's some sick lighting there, so you
Yeah, you can.
You gotta know those. You might
Shout
get
out 5-star Stone Church. Got the best lighting in all of the gyms.
So basically, what I'm hearing is 2020.
We'll see. I'm right now.
He's
it's
gonna
not
compete when Kai and Phil step back on stage.
It's not like something that I really want to do. It might be.
Right.
It's something that I love to do. I like to train and work out, so why not? But it's not. It's for me. It's not about the show, but it could be. I might do it. I'm not sure what I'm gonna see in the future. I got a few things I'm working on right now. I have a very entrepreneurial entrepreneur mind and dream. So I'm kind of working on business as myself and using my training and dieting to give me the best mind and body, the healthiest mind and body, so that I can give everything into starting a business and working for myself. That's more of my focus in life,
right,
as opposed to giving it my all, because I don't think I would be able to, grind out this startup that I'm working on.
It's tough,
and compete at the same time. I'd have to pull effort from one to give to the other, and I'd want to give my 100%. So that's pretty much my reason for not competing now. Who knows down the road? It's definitely something I've considered and thought. But
doing a startup is probably pretty similar. Like the sacrifices you got to make to prepping.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so it's gonna get it'll get lonely for sure, and it takes hours upon hours and
grinding.
And
instead of you're grinding up like you said 2-3 a.m. trying to get stuff going.
In the last it's a startup from nothing. Big things to come. I'm hoping. I'm proud of the idea, but I've put in the last 6 days. I work my regular job 8 to 4 every day, and I work till pretty much 4 till 2 in the morning. That's all I think about. That's all I obsess about. Yeah. So I'm getting my training in the morning even before that.
Like when we talked about what Gary Vee mentioned, if you're not passionate in what you do, there's always going to be somebody working harder.
Exactly.
So nobody can work harder than 4 to 2. I mean, that's 10 hours.
Oh yeah.
So you do that consistently. Nobody's going to be able to match the.
And it's not even necessarily 4 to 2. Like I can even say, I've been on it too.
Right. So 4 to 2 times 2.
But not only times 2, and not only just 4 to 2. It's day to day. We're texting each other with constant ideas and constant breaking back and forth. So.
Yeah, it's great. I don't know, but for a show, right? Like I'd want to give my all to it, and I would want no distractions, and I can't right now.
But right now, there's something that's already gone.
Because I'm doing something that I'm passionate about, and I'm giving my all to. I couldn't give my all to another thing.
Which we're not going to mention yet, but soon.
You know what? Next episode, I have you guys on. We'll talk about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Next episode will be. I'm sure we'll be started up.
All right, boys.
Yeah.
Thanks, boys.
This was fun.
Yeah.
Thanks,
goodbye, everyone.
Thanks for having us on.
Thanks, guys, again for checking out this episode. If you enjoyed any part of it, please share it with your friends and family, and I'll speak to you next time.